So good morning and welcome to another edition of FanFormula. As you can see, I've had a slight hair change, so I'm all a bit more colourful for the summer. But enough about my jazzy hair, let's get on with this week's questions. So question 1. In-season testing returns this year after being banned in 2009. Are you glad to see an official in-season test return to F1? Yes and no on this question. Yes, I'm glad to see in testing again because it's a chance for teams to develop parts, try out parts that they would have probably tried out in practice one, like free practice 1 and 2, and the more innovation we can have in Formula 1, the more chance we could see a closer knit grid. So for that reason, yes, I'd love to see in-season testing. But in the other side of the no camp, the reason I wouldn't want to see in-season testing is it spirals costs, which is never good, and as well, again, because the teams are then getting their testing sessions instead of in free practice, they're testing in the off-season test. It sometimes means we don't see as much running in free practice 1 and 2, which is a bit poor for the fans because a lot of the time they'll stay in the garage and gather data that way with things they learnt in the off-season test than they actually will, or in-season test, than they would do on the track. So and as well, because of the test, sometimes teams can be so far ahead that we can see a dominance like we did with Red Bull last year. So sometimes I think, yes, I like testing, sometimes I think, no, I don't. So it depends what day it is, really. But yeah, question 2. Do you think it is a mistake for the HRT not to attend the test? Well, it's hard, isn't it? It's like in my no category earlier. If it costs too much for teams to test, they're not going to test. So, and HRT are at the back anyway. They're, just getting past the 107%, and they need in-season testing. But if they can't afford it as a team, how are they ever going to compete and get further ahead anyway? It's like a vicious circle. They've got no money, so they can't test. They can't test, so they can't progress. Ooh, that rhymed. So, yeah, really, it's just going to be circling all over again. So, yeah, it's bad that HRT can't attend, but this is down to the FIA because if they tighten their controls on money, maybe we could have seen HRT test. Question 3. Do you think that having the test only after 4 races makes the test slightly less effective than it could be if it were later along in the calendar? Again, I'm in my kind of yes and no camp. Yes, it could be less effective because we've not hit really Europe at this point. So, and European tracks are a lot different to the Eastern and Western tracks. So it could be a lot of unnecessary testing for nothing. But then again, it means that the team get a holiday because they have the test early rather than later in the season, which puts less of a strain on team management and members and personnel who don't get a lot of time to see their families and are away. So in a way, I'm actually quite grateful it's more near the beginning of the season than near the end because there's just too much going on at the end of the season for teams to really make a good use of it. Whereas at the minute, we've only just started, the championship's still left to run, and it gives us time to sort of see what's going to happen in the tests and what innovations they are going to bring to the races. And bonus question. What do you make of the young drivers test potentially being brought forward and held at Silverstone? Well, anything held at Silverstone is always a bonus. I love the fact I've already forgot the question. So what do I make of the test being brought forward? The test being brought forward is good because when the young drivers test was at the end of the season, which it normally is, it's usually after the last race, not much coverage is put about it really because it's at the end of the season. We've got the sort of anticlimax, whereas now it's something in between. And I think it's going to be fantastic for Formula 1. It's also fantastic for people like me who can have a good perv. I mean, check out the new talent. I mean, just watch them drive, which is always a winner. So, yeah, I think it's a good thing that it's been brought forward because it gives young drivers who say would have tested at the end of the year and maybe really good, but they're not going to get a test seat because it's at the end of the year and teams have already signed contracts. Now it gives them the chance to get into lower formulas run by the Formula 1 teams and also gives them a chance maybe for test seats that they probably wouldn't have got at the end of the season. Being out at Silverstone is always a bonus because I'm a home girl and anything running in the UK is always a winner. Silverstone's a good track to test on. It's, you know, a mixture of sort of everything, corner and track wise. So yeah, it'd be a good test to see how the young drivers work. So yeah, that's this week's Fan Formula. Everything you need to know, blog, Twitter, Fan Formula, it's all in the comment box as per usual. And yeah, I will see you next week for another Fan Formula. So bye.